everyone! First, let me introduce myself. My name is Lidia Tamba. I'm from Science Education Class B. My student number is 1923109. Okay, on this video, I will discuss add-ons about the natural phenomenon that occur at the beginning of 2020, that is flooding. Enjoy this video! Okay, before discussing the science aspect that causes the flooding that occur in early 2020, we will see what floods are. When viewed in general terms, flooding is a natural disaster, even that occurs when excessive water flows submerge the land. But there are also several opinions about what flood is, one of which is that the flood is a river where the water flow is not accommodated by the riverbed because the flood is discharge is greater than the capacity of the existing river. In general, flood can be categorized into two things, namely due to natural causes and due to human action. Okay, now we will review the science aspect that cause of flooding. Before that, I will read a little about the meaning of the flood phenomenon that occurred in early 2020. This article is my basis for discussing the natural phenomenon of flooding. Massive floods in Jakarta early 2020. Causes and time for radical disaster mitigation. As is well known, in early 2020, there was flood that hit the capital Jakarta. The flood was triggered by heavy rains that drowned the capital and its surrounding areas. The flood is a natural catastrophic event that occurs when excessive water flows submerge the land. We can see here that the scientific aspect of the occur of flooding is divided into three parts, namely the biological aspect, then the physical aspect, and the chemical aspect. Biology is everything about living things and their aspect of life. Examples of biological aspects are animal behavior, plant stimulation, growth and development of living things, living cells, and so on. Biological aspects that I discuss about this flood phenomenon are divided into three. There are reduced soils or water catchment areas, then high rainfall, and reduced tree cover. Okay, now I will explain one by one. First, reduce soil water catchment area. The purpose of a water catchment area is land. When the rainfall is high and the water catchment area decreases, the water becomes stagnant and causes flooding. Then, high rainfall. The existence of high rainfall intensity so that the river capacity is unable to overcome surface runoff due to surface runoff, inundating the surrounding area. And then, reduce tree cover. This refers to the loss of natural trees due to human or natural causes or natural selection. Trees have roots that can hold water flow. Okay, now I will explain about the physical aspect, which is a geographical study, which is included the physical elements of the geosphere, among other soil, water, climate, weather, and rock layers on Earth. Physical aspect of flooding. The formation of this flood can be explained in terms of physics, namely the concept of fluids. In principle, water flows from a high place to a low place and it takes up space. Rainwater that falls on the earth will be placed in all directions. Some of the rainwater is stored in rivers, reservoirs, dams, and some is absorbed by soil or tree roots. When it rains with a fairly heavy discharge, it will produce a large amount of water. Large amounts of water require a large cross-section area. This is in accordance with the physical theory that the greater the water discharge, the greater the volume of water produced per unit time. If rivers, reservoirs, lakes, or dams cannot hold too much water and the soil is unable to absorb water, then the water will overflow and flow to a lower place so that area close to rivers, dams, reservoirs, or lakes can be submerged. Water causes flooding. In densely populated area with small water culvert levels, it can also cause flooding. This is because the culvert cannot hold a large enough amount of water. Water flow velocity in flood is influenced by water discharge and cross-section area. The greater the water discharge, the faster the water flow. This means proportional to the water discharge. If it's related to force and process, it can be explained that a large water flow rate will give a large force and a large force will give a large pressure, and the rate of water flow also depends on the height of a place. The higher the place, the greater the water flow rate. This is related to the concept of energy, namely potential energy and kinetic energy. Therefore, when the rainwater falls with a greater discharge, the speed of the water will get bigger, as well as when the water that overflows from rivers, dams, or reservoirs that are located higher will have greater kinetic energy, so that the speed of water flow will also increase. The large of water velocity will cause the swift flow of water. When this water flow collides or hits the object around it, the object will either be carried away or remain their place. This depends on the amount of pressure exerted by the water flow rate. The large water flow rate will cause a large force. This large force exerts pressure on this object. If this object cannot withstand the large pressure of the water flow rate, then this object will be carried away by the current. But if the object or this object are able to withstand the pressure of the water flow rate, so this object will remain in their place. And the last aspect that causes flooding is the chemical aspect. Extreme weather can cause flooding because the weather is erratic, while the water catchment area is not strong enough to hold water. Then, in the capital city of Jakarta, the greenhouse effect is already very large. So, the weather is extreme, the rainfall is high, but the water catchment area of the source has decreased, so that there is flood.
Thank you for watching.